everybody, it's Lacey. Welcome back to Paws and Paper. So I have a helper with me today.
Hello.
Gideon. And we are going to make these cute little clusters beginning with puzzle pieces. So here's the end result. Here's a couple that I've already made. And as you can see, I just put some beads all over this one here and just a little embellished flower. This one here just has some cheesecloth and some buttons and beads and lace. They turned out super, super cute. This one here is kind of a little bit more neutral, with just some lace and a ribbon. And then this one here is a little colorful. It's got a little bit bead cluster down there. So yeah, these are super, super cute. Very easy. And you have to kind of do them in stages. So here's how they start out. I just took one of my kids' puzzles. This is a Transformers puzzle. 48 pieces in it, so I can make 48 pieces of embellishments here. And these are kind of what I would call like medium sized. You can get the really larger kid size puzzles. I would not do the itty bitty tiny ones, but you could. So we're going to start with these, and then we're just going to cover them. So here's the examples of ones that I've covered. This is just ones that are covered in napkin. This is tissue paper with some colored doily over top, which gives it a neat texture. These are really cool. These are just tissue paper that is like a vintagey looking tissue paper. And yeah, there's just different kinds of napkins and tissue papers. So you can use anything you want to, Mod Podge on top. That's what we're going to use. And I'm using a matte Mod Podge on top of the puzzle pieces. And we're just going to build them up. So let's get started. Let me move this out of the way. We'll keep our original puzzle pieces. So the first thing we need to do here. Okay, Gideon, are you ready? Okay. So since our puzzle pieces are glossy, you're going to want to give them just a little bit of a sand, just so that they will take the Mod Podge a little bit better when you stick stuff on them. So just a very light sand, okay? So sand a couple of those up. And we'll get started. So you sand the pieces up. And then, once you have them sanded, okay, super easy there. You can just do one. We'll just each do one right now if you want. Is that the piece you want to do?
I think we can do them.
Okay, so then I have all these pieces of tissue, paper, and napkins and things in here. Some really cool ones. A lot of these I found like at the dollar store. The different designs and stuff are neat. This one was my favorite. This, if you have anything like this is tissue paper I had actually gotten in one of my craft boxes from the Cora Crea Crafts. This one's cool. I like how that one turns out, so maybe I'll do another one of those. But I found if you have a puzzle that has like dark colors in it, you're going to want to put a base down that's a little bit darker, or layer up several like white tissue paper, or like several layers of like the white napkin, like the inner piece of the napkin. So that's what you need to do first. So you're all sanded up.
All of them.
Okay, do you want to use tissue paper or napkin on yours?
I think I'm going to use tissue paper.
Okay, what do you want to pick out? I have just colors.
I think I'm going to use this old vintage one.
You want to use the vintagey looking one? Okay, so just put that to the side because you don't start with that first. Let's start with, let's just use the inner piece of a napkin. That's kind of the easiest thing to layer up here.
And I'm learning just as you guys are.
Yes, Gideon has not done this yet, but he saw what I made. He heard me say I was going to make a video, and then he's like, what are you making? So I showed him the little clusters, and he's like, can I do it too? And of course he can do it. So we're going to show you that he can go right along with this. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you what to do here. Come over here. Grab one of your pieces, and you're going to use Mod Podge.
I think I'm going to use this one.
So just, pick whichever one you want and get the rest out of the way.
This one might be easier.
Okay, so you have your Mod Podge. It's best to just lay this down. Your hands are going to get very sticky and messy, okay? So just lay your piece down and hang on here. We're going to zoom you in a little bit. Okay, now you'll want to paint over top, and we're just using that inner layer of the napkin. So paint over top, and we're just going to put a layer down of paper. You're going to get very messy, so don't be afraid to touch it. Okay, so I'm just going to tear off some piece here. And once you have a layer on, lay this down. Okay, so lay this down over top, and now paint over it again. And this is how we're just going to build up our layer to kind of help hide some of that, the color of the puzzle piece. And this is what I found too, get your edges, because you kind of want it to stick to your edges, and the napkin will get really soft around the edges. And I kind of just dab and push just like that. Ready? I'm going to give you another layer and layer it up again. So I think I did at least 2 or 3 layers of the white. I did one. This one here I put black tissue paper behind it, and if you can see the black tissue paper behind this, looks really cool. This one here, I didn't put the black tissue paper behind, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but a little bit on my end, I can see a little bit of like the puzzle piece color coming through.
I want to try and do black tissue
but
paper. I like how the black turned out.
I don't know if I have any more black tissue paper left. I think I have gray though. I have, oh yeah, I do. I do have a black. You can do a black one.
Good.
Okay, so you did a couple layers. Now you're going to want to pick it up. Pick your piece up from the back. Now you're going to end up, there you go. And I have a piece of wax paper down here first that helps keep it all on from sticking. And then you kind of just like brush and tear the napkin off, okay? And this is where you're going to get all sticky and gluey. Do you want to do this?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not get messy?
Keep it in frame. You need to stay right here. And then, there you go. Just kind of tear off. And then you can use your paintbrush or your fingers and kind of smooth out the edges. Just don't grip too hard. You got to stay right here. Look down. There you go. And get it around your edges. And I kind of did this too. Kind of just finger smooshed. There you go. Doesn't have to be super perfect because I did some sanding in the end. Not too much of that. You don't want it too thick. Okay. It's best to just lay it down. Okay. Now, you wanted to use this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's take you guys back out a little bit here so you can see what we're doing. And...
well, we went black first, though.
No, I didn't... Black was my first base.
Oh.
So I've been kind of being really stingy with my tissue paper here because I really like this and I only have one little piece of it. So I've been trying to use as little as I can of this. So let's take your piece here, and then you want to just line this up on your puzzle piece and just brush it all down. Okay? You don't need any more of that. Just, you can lay it down to the side. It's fine. Now brush over it and make sure you get the edges. Like I showed you, you can do a combination of brush and kind of like dab. You don't need more.
Yep.
You don't want it super, super thick. You got plenty on there. If you get too much, it's just going to turn into a gloppy mess. Now remember, you're going to have to tear it off, so it's perfectly fine if you know and make sure you miss a spot there. You have to have it all completely covered. You can see what he's doing here. Make sure you cover your whole piece. Okay? Looking good. And this is a good way to use up, some of those napkins and things that, no, you got to peel it up again. Like you get a whole bunch of napkins in a pack. You're not going to be able to tell too much what the design is on these puzzle pieces. So now tear it all off like you did with the first thing. You got to stay right here. Yep. Focus on this square right there. Stay right there. Okay. There you go. And then that way, because you won't see a lot of these designs on your napkins. So like I have tons and tons of these napkins, but you're only going to see a tiny piece of it. So I thought it was a good way to use up some of those. Use your brush and it kind of helps just tear off your tissue paper there too. There you go. And like I said, if your edges aren't perfect, after it dries, you can give it a nice little sand and it'll look really good. Okay, so this is your first stage, is getting your puzzle pieces covered. So once you're all covered, we'll put this off to the side, okay? So you happy with how it looks?
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. You have your puzzle piece now covered with tissue paper. And now we're just going to go let this dry. So if you want to take this over and set it over on the table over there, I'll bring in some of these ones. Okay, so now we did a couple ahead of time, or I did a couple ahead of time. I'm going to take you back out here a little bit. Okay, so now here's all my pieces. There's wipes down there too if you want to wipe your hands off. Okay, so these are all my pieces that I've already have Mod Podged over top, okay? So I've done just some with doily and napkin and everything. So which do you want to use? You pick one and I'll pick one. I think I'll do this one.
I'm gonna do the blind thing.
Oh, we're gonna do blind test? You're gonna, okay. All right. So we'll move these off to the side. And now this is where you come in here. If you see any of your little edges, just take a little bit of sandpaper and sand them down a little bit. Get any of those little fuzzies off if you don't like them. It's not going to show too bad. So I just did a little sanding. If there's any little fuzzies, you're totally not in. There you go. Now you're in frame. So yeah, just a light sanding. It doesn't need to be anything major. Looks good. And then I brought in a whole bunch of my scraps. And this is a good project to make clusters, is, you know, you use your scraps to make the clusters. Okay, so you and I both have our pieces. Let's go in a little bit here. Sorry guys, we keep going in and out. You stay right there and I'll stay right there and we're good. So now I have this whole box of, like, remember I was showing you the other day, if you watched the video, I was embossing a whole bunch of scrap paper. So I have a whole bunch of scrap paper that's embossed. So I'm going to use that as my base. You're not going to want to use that. That's too flimsy. And I got just some little scraps of fabric and lace and stuff in here. Okay, so Gideon, what you're going to want to do is grab a piece to make like your base of, okay? So I have this piece. That's you're going to want to tear it down, okay? Did you see the size of my last ones?
Oh, they're tiny.
Okay. We're going to want to roughly keep them about this size. I would say these are about what, like 2 by 3? That's about the size of these end up being, 2 by 3. And I'll show you how I did this one here, because that one I thought turned out really cool. So like roughly 2 by 3 when it's completely built. So take your first piece of whatever paper you're going to use. That's a good coordinating paper. And then I normally do like tear edges. So just tear around all the edges and make like a rectangle piece. Okay. So that you have a decent size for your piece. And I'm going to ink mine. And then you can ink yours too. So you got your piece. And you don't have to use these like embossed sheets, but I think they're just really cool. Uninked. You want to leave it uninked? That's fine. Okay, so then you just kind of decide where you want it on the back. Because you're going to want to remember, you're going to want to make kind of like I tried to keep mine in kind of a square piece, okay? So you want to end up with a square in the end. Are you understanding what we're doing? Yep. Okay. So I am just going to glue the back of my puzzle piece here, and I'm just using Fabrifix on mine, just because I like that the glue holds. I probably wouldn't use like glue stick or anything. So there's my first piece. And let's let Gideon catch up with his. You got your piece on there. You need to stay up here. There you go. Okay, so you went sideways with yours. Now you need to find something maybe a little bit different, like some text page. I got a bunch of text writing, book pages, something like that. So find something contrasting, okay? That's a good one. Now do the same thing and tear up like a rectangle size piece or whatever. And I'm just going to go through the bin here. And I also have pieces of vellum. I was using the vellum. And I had music page. Music page was a good one too. Okay, so I need to find coordinating but different sheet. What do I want? What do you got? You got some book. Ooh, I think I'll use some music page. Okay. You sure you don't want a little bit bigger piece than that? Now remember, think square. How are we going to do a square?
I do like this.
You sure you don't want to ink it?
Yep.
Okay. Here's your glue. And just kind of keep building. All right. Clusters are fairly easy. I don't think you can go too wrong with a cluster. I'm not sure that there is a right or wrong. So I'm just I kind of like these pieces of the music page. So I'm going to ink this one up too. And there is a right and a wrong side on the, and you can go just find another different piece of paper. You can do a color, you can do some music page. I got a little piece of vellum here you can use. Okay, so I'm gonna stick maybe my music page there, or maybe off center a little bit. How about, where'd that? I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, you need to keep it in here. Nobody can see what you're doing way down there. Okay. So you're layering up some music sheet too. Where did I want to go? I wanted to go here. There we go. Okay. So I got my little bits here. Okay, so I think you probably have enough paper bits. Don't you think? Or do you want maybe a little piece of vellum there? Why don't you tear that edge up, make that edge, torn edge, and then you're going to want to add some sort of fabric or something to that. I'm trying to think of what I want to add to mine here. I feel like I need one little piece of something at the bottom. Maybe that vellum piece. Those tear like crazy, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like the embossing. The embossing tears. Now just find little pieces of like a fabric or a ribbon, and you just want little pieces, okay?
You're trying to ink my hand.
Well, you were reaching across at the same time. Crafting with buddies is not easy, because everybody's grabbing for the same glue and everything else. Okay, so let's get this glued, and I'm just going to glue here at the bottom and stick on my vellum. Okay, so you can see these clusters come together pretty quickly. How you doing? Okay, you got a piece of blue velvet over there?
Yep.
Okey-doke. Those are looking cool. Okay, so how I did this one here, which I thought turned out really cool, because I am going to be doing like a fairy journal, and I thought this would look really cool in there. So, okay, so you have a piece of velvet over top there. Maybe I wouldn't keep layering up over your puzzle piece, because you kind of want to see that. So maybe take one of these little pieces. What are you doing? Stop. Stop. What are you doing? Oh, you're going rogue. Okay. What I was going to say was like maybe take like one of these and embellish this on top of there or something, and then call it good. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do to show you how I did that glittery bead one, I have this whole big tray of this like sequined beading stuff. My mom makes Christmas ornaments, and she did a couple years of all these Christmas ornaments with like these beads, and she'd put them through pins and stuff. And she gave me all the extras, and I'm like, well, I can find a way to use these. So I'm going to show you how I ended up using these. So all I did was I'm going to, as soon as I get my glue bottle back from my partner in crime over here. Okay, I'm just going to glue all over my Fabrifix glue all over the top of my puzzle piece. Okay. So once I get a fairly good layer all over, I'm going to grab a whole bunch of these beads. And there's a whole bunch of tiny little beads down in here.
And there's my puzzle piece.
Yours looks good. That looks nice. Okay, and then I'm just going to sprinkle like candy sprinkles. I'm trying not to get the great big huge ones. I want some of these little beads in there. But yeah, I just am sprinkling all these beads on top. And you could probably use glitter too for this, but this is what I have. I needed to find a way to use these.
Mess.
I'm making a huge mess, I know. And so then I kind of just picked off some of the bigger ones that I didn't want on there. And then just kind of push the rest of them down. And once the Fabrifix dries, they all kind of just dry on there and make this crazy, sparkly, cool looking thing. I mean, how cool does that look? I think that's really cool. And, you know, for a fairy journal, it's all going to meant to be really, you know, really blingy up like, I don't know, fairy dust, I guess. So, I mean, I thought those were kind of cool, actually. So there we go. And then we just did a whole bunch more. So that's really all it takes to make these clusters. Start with a puzzle piece, sand it down, cover it with something, and then you can make all these pretty little clusters. And bring all the rest of them in here. So this is everything that we've made. So these are going to be super easy, you know, just to like pop down into a journal somewhere. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What'd you want to say? Gideon wanted to say something.
Thank you for everyone that is subscribed and your support. And we just passed 100 subscribers.
Yeah, did you even watch my video on a 100 subscriber giveaway? Did you even know he doesn't even know I was doing one. Man, you're in my own family and you don't even know what the videos are. I am so disappointed. I swear. Anyway, thanks again, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.